Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be filming my C-section / birth story for you guys. I had mentioned in my 37-week ECV update video that I would be having a C-section for my first child, my first pregnancy. And if you also watched the 36-week pregnancy update, I was pretty upset about it. I was really sad, and I wanted to do a follow-up and just talk a little bit about it and keep this really chatty and probably pretty informal, and just talk about my delivery experience and how it all went. So as of today, I am 2 weeks and 3 days postpartum, so it is Labor Day when I'm filming this, and Ray was born on Friday, August 21st. I posted a bump transformation video, so I'll go ahead and link that in the cards and down below so you can see that if you haven't already. So we are still adjusting to our schedule. We're still getting used to breastfeeding, which has honestly been a little bit of a challenge. And today my husband's actually at work, so that is also an adjustment, is when he's not here, not having that extra set of hands to help with, but it's all been going well. Honestly, I feel really great, and I'm going to talk a lot, I think, about that in my 6-week postpartum video, which I'll film in a couple of weeks, because I just want to get through the 6 weeks and see how things go. But I mean, as of today, I feel amazing. I don't even know how else to explain it. I don't know if it's like an emotion of happiness that I have or what it is, but I feel like 100 times better than I did in the last few weeks of my pregnancy. So like I said, I'm going to talk about my C-section today and do a little bit of a birth story. Our daughter Rhea was sitting breech, and so we had a scheduled C-section. It was definitely not our first choice. We wanted to go as natural as possible. Probably would have had an epidural, but you know, we really wanted to experience a vaginal delivery, like a natural birth, and it just didn't work out that way. And you know, in hindsight, I'm absolutely happy that everything worked out and that everybody's healthy and well. But I still wish that, you know, I could have experienced that. It just would have been nice, but you know, there's nothing any of us could do about it. Like I said, I had an ECV, tried to flip her, it didn't work, and so we had a scheduled C-section. It was for Friday, August 21st. We were scheduled early in the morning. I had the option to schedule a few days before, but I would have had to do an afternoon C-section. I would have had to fast all day, so I couldn't eat or drink anything before. I think it was up to 12 hours before, and then 2 hours before I couldn't have anything but water. So at the 2-hour mark, I couldn't have anything. So we went in, and I actually have the footage of us filming or driving into the hospital, and I had planned to film it, but man, I don't know how these people do it when they film their labor and delivery. That is dedication, because I was so out of it and we were so in the moment that I just couldn't be bothered with the camera. Jake couldn't be bothered, and we mentioned it that a few days after, and he was like, I thought about picking up the camera, but he was like, it just wasn't worth it at the time, and I completely agree. So I might insert the footage of us just driving to the hospital, but that's like literally all we got. Good morning. It's August 21st and we're going to have a baby. Jake is concentrating on driving. Don't mind him. So we're going to be there at 7. A C-section is scheduled for 9, and I'm excited. I'm nervous. Would you like to share your feelings?
I'm driving!
We went for a walk this morning. We both were up at like 2:30, so we haven't really slept, which I feel like we're probably going to regret. But, you know, what can you do?
I don't think that was a choice.
I mean, it wasn't my choice. I woke up. Apparently somebody was getting kicked.
Me. It was me.
No, I think it was me. So, she's very active this morning, so either she wants out or she knows what's up. We'll see. That's it. So Ray was born at 39 weeks and 2 days. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't allowed to have anything before the surgery. I did have a COVID test. That was standard before being admitted to the hospital. It was negative, and my husband was allowed to be my support person and was allowed to be there for the procedure. Fully dressed, fully there, and then the hospital actually allowed him to leave and go as he pleased, which was different from when I remember I filmed my 20-week update where they couldn't leave the hospital at all. Now they have like at my hospital at least, wristbands to indicate that this is the one support person that you get and you can go in and out as much as you want. So he went out and got food for himself and ended up getting food for us the night after the delivery, which was really nice that he was able to leave. We didn't have to bring absolutely everything into the hospital, and we could also bring stuff back out to our car, which was really nice. So my C-section was scheduled for 9 a.m. However, my doctor had an emergency at another hospital in the morning, and so she didn't get there, and we didn't start until about 11 o'clock. I was moved into the OR at 11, and they started doing all of the prep. They did a spinal. They don't do an epidural for scheduled C-sections, at least with my doctor. So they did a spinal, and everything went really well. I was really nervous. I remember crying with the nurse right before them doing the spinal because I was just so overwhelmed with all the emotions of meeting Rhea and having a C-section and not knowing what to expect. I had had a lot of cries up to that point, but I had been okay in the days going up to it. But that was like the moment where I was like, holy crap, this is all happening and I'm becoming a mom, and it was a lot. So they started the procedure and they go ahead and they test the feeling in your stomach and your lower body to make sure that you're good to go, and everything was fine. You can definitely feel everything going on, but there is no pain. There was a little bit of feeling in my right side where I thought I could feel pain, but I think it was just pressure. And so they did that, and Jake was there, and he actually watched a lot of the procedure. My husband is a nurse, so he was very interested in actually seeing how they did it, and so he watched a lot of it, and I very clearly remember them screaming 11:22 when she was born, and my doctor pulled down the screen. We had two screens, so there was a blue one and then a clear one on her side, or blue one on her side, yes, and she pulled down the blue screen and showed me Rhea, and oh my gosh, she had so much hair. She was covered in that like cheesy, I forget what it's called, I think it starts with a V. It protects their skin when they're in the womb, and she held her there at the screen for a while, like probably 15 to 20 seconds, and I just got to like look at her, and then they brought her over to the warmer right away. That was something that they had to do. They did delay cord clamping, so I think that's what they were doing when she was sitting there at the screen and I was looking at her. Brought her to the warmer, and Jake went over and followed her, which was really nice that he was able to do that. And it took a little bit because he wanted to like be there for all of the like little tests that they do right away. So they do an APGAR, I think, right away, and just check on the breathing and the heart before they bring baby back to mom. And then he wanted to cut the cord. That took a little bit because he got a little bit lightheaded, but they ended up finally bringing her back over to me. It took a little longer than I had thought, and they put her right onto my chest. Maybe I'll throw in a picture. And she sat there for the duration of the procedure, or whatever else they were doing during that time. I think they do a lot of like suctioning out of things and then pull the placenta before they sew you back up. So she sat on my chest. It was for a while. It felt like it was forever, and it was wonderful. And so that was really good that I got to experience that still. And I remember the first thing I said was, oh my gosh, she has blue eyes, because I didn't realize all babies have blue eyes when they're born. She still has blue eyes. They're still blue, and there is a chance they will be blue because my dad has blue eyes and Jake has hazel eyes. But we really thought she was gonna have brown eyes, and we really thought she was gonna look like me, but she looks just like Jake. It is the weirdest thing. I remember when I saw her, I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't believe that she looked the way she did, because I had this expectation in my head of what she would look like. She looks just like Jake. It's kind of wild. I'll have to put in a picture of what I put the two of them sleeping. I have two pictures of them sleeping. I put them side by side. They're hilarious. It's definitely his child. We did skin to skin, and then when it was time for the doctor to come over and talk to me and get me ready to move out of the OR, they gave Rhea to my husband, and he went into the recovery area. In the recovery area was where they actually did like the weighing and the additional tests and like the eye drops, the hep shot, I believe. So they did all of that outside of the delivery, which was really nice because they could then have her on my chest for longer. So they ended up, my doctor came over to me and started talking to me right away and told me everything went really well. When we had discussed my C-section in the office a couple of days prior, she said she would look for, possible reasons as to why the baby was breech, or just my own state of mind, but also for future pregnancies to have in mind if that's something that we would have to do going forward. And she said everything looked totally normal, totally healthy. Baby was healthy, I was healthy. There was nothing indicating as to why she was breech, she just was. So my doctor thinks that I could do a VBAC in the future if that was something that I would be interested in, which was really nice to hear. And so she chatted with me, and then they went ahead and they moved me out of the OR at that point. Overall, it was a really good experience. It was overwhelming. Like, I don't know, it was not what I thought it would be. Like, the OR was not what I thought it was gonna look like, but it was really nice. They had like a board in there that had like everything that was going on, what I was having done, my allergies. I remember them counting at one point, and I thought they were counting her fingers and toes because they were counting up to 5, but they were counting instruments. So just kind of like interesting stuff that you don't think about when you have a surgery where you're completely under things that they do, because I was fully aware and fully awake, and so that was really interesting to hear. And overall everything went really good. I got a little nauseous at the beginning of the procedure, and they gave me something for it, and it went away pretty quickly, so that was really nice. So we moved to the recovery area, and we sat there for a while. I was in quite a bit of pain. I actually didn't realize they were pushing Pitocin, and so I think I was having contractions of my uterus going back down. So I ended up getting some pain meds. It was a narcotic, and it knocked me on my butt for the rest of the day, basically. It was for the pain, and I mean, in hindsight, I'm glad I took it because I was in a lot of pain and I was not comfortable, but man, I was not feeling great the rest of the day. Jake ended up holding her while we were there before going up to our postpartum room. We went up to our postpartum room at about 1:30. So she was born at 11:22. I think I got out of surgery at about noon. And so it was about an hour and a half that we were in in the recovery area. And it all went really well. That was when we decided on her name because I really wanted to see her. So her name, I should have done this at the beginning. So her name is Rhea, and her middle name is Tiara. So Tiara was my mom's name. That's how she got that. And Rhea, we actually named her after, or we initially wanted to name her after the moon of Saturn that is spelled R-H-E-A. We thought it was pronounced Rhea, but it's pronounced Rhea, and we did not like the pronunciation. So we scratched it. We ended up coming back to it a couple weeks later, and Jake said, let's just respell it. And we respelled it to Rhea, and then after kind of looking into it a little bit more, we found out it's an actual name, it's an actual given name, and it means queen. So her name means queen in Spanish, or it's of Spanish origin, and then her middle name is Tiara, which obviously is a crown. And so it kind of worked out in a very interesting way, but I'm really happy with her name. I had another name that I really liked, but it was really important to me that her name be something that Jake and I both really liked. And since we both were together when we were discussing it and we found out, or discovered the name and that we liked it, that was really important. So we went into the hospital with her letterboard already printed with her name and everything, just kind of like had to see her before we could decide. So that was how we named her, or when we named her, and that's the story behind her name. To pause for coffee, my full mug. It's so nice being able to drink coffee again. First of all, I can drink not as many cups as I want, but more than 1 cup a day, and it tastes good because I didn't actually enjoy the taste of coffee during my pregnancy. So we went up to the postpartum room about 1:30, and I was nauseous basically all day. I couldn't eat. They wouldn't let me eat. All I got was like water and pain meds, and I couldn't actually move from the bed. When I finally was feeling better, like in the evening and overnight, Jake actually had to bring her to me in order for me to like feed her and console her because I couldn't get out of the bed because I had those like blood clot things on my calves. The overnight nurse the first night was fantastic. She was great. I really liked her and was really happy that we had someone that was, I guess, just really on it that night because I just did not feel great. And she ended up bringing me crackers, I think, like at about 9 p.m. So I at least got to have some crackers, but I didn't eat all day that day. I just couldn't. And I ended up ordering breakfast. I remember at like 6:30 the next day because that was when the kitchen opened, and I was starving by that. So like I said, overnight we had a really good nurse that actually talked to us a little bit about starting to pump. in the hospital to get my milk in because my milk was not coming in as fast as they wanted, and they obviously wanted her to feed and she wouldn't really latch. There was just a whole bunch of stuff going on in terms of feeding, and we're still kind of dealing with that. Like I said, she's just not a good latcher. We're using a nipple shield and her weight's not back up to a birth weight, and so we're supplementing. It's just kind of all over at this point. I just want her to eat. I don't really care how she's eating. I will do the nipple shield as long as I need to and supplement just to make sure she's eating, because I just want her to be healthy. So the next morning, we had a normal day. I got to take a shower. They started giving me stool softener, which is normal with, I think, any pregnancy delivery. If you have, especially if you have an epidural, just to get things moving again. I remember it was pretty painful, like when I started having actual like gas. It was really uncomfortable on my incision. They gave me a binder to wear as well, which was really nice. I had brought one, but this one was a little bit bigger, and it was just to help hold everything in and keep the pressure off of the incision. I highly recommend getting a binder if you are, I mean, for anybody. Like, it felt so good, and it just really helped, and it helped with the days following as well, just walking around. We got sushi that night. That was fantastic. I'd been wanting sushi. We got so much. It was delicious. It was probably too much, honestly, on my incision because it was kind of a lot of pressure, but Saturday was a good day. I started feeling better. I started walking, and we took her pictures. I took a shower. I don't know if I mentioned that, so that was really nice. On Sunday, we were given the option to go home in the morning, and I was unsure about going home because she wasn't eating. She was drinking donor milk, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do, so we decided to stay and kind of see how the day went. I honestly wasn't concerned about me. Like, I could be at home and recover. Like, that wasn't the issue. It was her that I was more concerned with. So they ended up doing her jaundice test, and it came back as normal, and so that made me feel a little bit better. And I actually saw my doctor. She was the on-call doctor on Sunday morning, and she came in, talked to me. She was really confident that I was going to be totally fine and that I could go home. And we talked to the pediatrician, and after, having a good day in the hospital, we just decided to go home. We felt like we could do the exact same thing that we were doing in the hospital at home. Like, we were using the nurses, but not really in a way in which we needed to be there. Like, we were using them to get meds, which I was taking Tylenol and ibuprofen. I wasn't taking a narcotic because I didn't want to. And so we were like, well, we can do that at home. We can feed her at home. Colostrum is meant to keep them going for a few days before your milk comes in. So we just decided to go home, and it was definitely the right decision. We could have stayed. They definitely were not kicking us out. If we had stayed, we would have left probably immediately the next morning. And it was probably a good thing that we left, because when we got home, our freezer had gone out. Our fridge, like, the electricity had tripped because it was really hot that weekend, and the fridge never turned back on. Like, our switch never went back on. All of our food was gone. Like, all the food we bought at Costco in advance to have around the house for when she was here, when we would be busy, it was all gone. And I almost cried, and then I was like, okay, whatever, I don't care, I just need to go to bed. And then the next day, we ended up Jake went out to the store and got all the food again. So that was unfortunate, but we got through it. So then in the days following, I started to feel a little bit better. Honestly, Saturday and Sunday I felt like trash. I felt absolutely awful, and I would say, like, that was the worst part of the C-section, was those 2 days following that. Friday, Saturday were just, and part of Sunday were just so bad. It hurt to move, it hurt to sit, it hurt to lie down. Like, everything was uncomfortable. When I got home Monday, like I said, I was taking ibuprofen and Tylenol, and it was fine. I didn't take the narcotic that they gave me. By Tuesday, I felt better, and I actually went for a walk, and I wore the binder for support, and was doing things around the house, like really light things. And I would say by the following Friday, 1 week postpartum, I felt really good. Like, I felt like I could clean the dishes, and I was doing like folding laundry. I wasn't bringing it up or downstairs because that's too heavy. And I felt just really good, which, like I said, I was really surprised by. And then emotionally, I felt amazing. Like, Tuesday, I had the clearest mind I'd had in months. I felt really good. Even though we were really tired and on a really strict feeding schedule, I felt like, and I still feel like, I'm just absolutely thriving on this type of a schedule and having something to do. Like, that sounds weird, but like being at home for the past several months, I just wasn't doing anything, and I couldn't do anything. I could, but I wasn't doing a lot because I was pregnant. I just feel so good, and it's really working well. And that could be a mom thing, it could be an emotional thing, it could be a type A personality thing. I'm not quite sure, but moral of the story, or the end game I'm trying to get at, is I just feel really good. Even though I'm really tired, I feel really energized. So overall, my thoughts on the C-section were the first 3 days were absolutely awful. I ended up driving actually on Wednesday, so I felt good enough to drive Wednesday, and I went to Target and bought a few things, and I feel a lot better than I thought I would. I feel almost normal. Like, I definitely still have a discomfort. I took the steri strips off a couple of days ago, maybe last Friday at 2 weeks, or took the rest of them off, but I mean, I feel really good, like really good. So I'm really shocked by that. I'm really surprised. I really thought I was gonna feel physically unable to do anything, and I don't feel like that at all. I'm walking every day, except today because it's gonna rain. But we go for a walk every day. I'm doing my normal walk again. We did like the first couple of days, it was just like a 2 block around the house, and I would say as of last 1 week postpartum, I was doing just my normal 30-minute walk again that we were doing when I was pregnant. So that's definitely getting better, and I'm actually hoping I can run here in October once I'm cleared to work out again. I would love to start running again, which I don't like running, but I've had the itch to run since my second trimester, and I couldn't do it. It was just uncomfortable, so I'm hoping I can get out and start running again in the mornings. That would be really nice, and it's different than the elliptical, which I'm totally over. So that is my C-section experience and birth story. It was, like I said, super informal. I just kind of wanted to chat about it and basically follow up on how it went based on how I was talking about it. And overall, I feel still really sad about having to have had a C-section, but I think this is the best possible outcome, is me feeling as good as I do physically, emotionally, having a healthy baby. Like, it just is, in the hindsight, it doesn't even matter now. I mean, it's like pregnancy was like forever ago, and I think about it, and we're so happy. We're doing so good. We're just loving her, and we're loving having her around and doing things with her. Like, we've had people visit, and we've had people like in the backyard, and like people have brought food over. Like, we're just loving it, and it's just so weird to think about. It's still weird to think about. We have this little life here in front of us. I hope that this video is helpful or insightful if you are planning to have a C-section, or if you did end up having a C-section and it was not your first choice. It definitely was not our first choice, but it ended up being the best possible thing for everybody involved, and I'm, like I said, feeling really good. And so I really hope that this is helpful. And if you have a C-section, I promise it will get better. If you're in the very first few days, it's uncomfortable, I know, but it gets a lot better. And I'm just looking forward to being fully recovered so I can work out, so I can lift a little bit more weight, just so I can do the laundry, but so I can get back to my weightlifting and get back into exercising. I think I will talk about like my weight gain and all of that stuff in my 6-week postpartum video, because I think I want to get through, like I said, the rest of it to kind of have a full understanding of how I feel. But I'll talk about that in that video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Stick around for my journey and for more videos, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye.